And just like that, we're 1/12 of the way through 2026 already. And wow, I've had a lot of change in this time, and a lot of just a lot of like differences. It's a new year and it's a new me. Kind of a cliche to say, but I feel like it, kind of is. And I wanted to just make this video as my, one video a month is kind of my New Year's resolution. Want to do one video every month this year, at least, or and minimum, one video every month. Just talking about my monthly media consumption. Just something to look back on when I'm older. And yeah, so nothing too crazy. Um, and let's kind of just start with the December stuff that I didn't really like, make a video on it. I did make, the year recap video, which I covered some of the stuff in there, but other than that, I didn't really touch on any of the December stuff. All right, so jumping right into it. I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake. That was kind of early December. I don't remember exactly, probably around December 10th, somewhere in there. And it was a really good game. I really enjoyed the story and the art direction and the characters. Such a good. I have Rebirth as well, so I'll definitely play through that. But I do have to complete the DLC. That's not really DLC, is it? Is it kind of a DLC? Like it's kind of like the extra prologue or whatever for Yuki. I think that's her name, the ninja girl from Wutai. And so she is, yeah. So she'll be a cool storyline. And other than that, I played Monster Hunter Stories. I got it on sale. I think it was about like $20, and it's really good. The art style is really amazing. It's kind of that cell shaded, colorful art style that's quite similar to that of likes of like Ni no Kuni, which I played and I talked about a ton in my recap video. And I played that, in January last year, or yeah, wow, last year, 2025. Um, so it's been a year since I played that, and it's very similar style, very similar art style, but a lot, and kind of similar combat, but more turn-based. And next, I would like to talk about, oh yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. I kind of went into like a D&D phase. Like I've never really played D&D much in real life. But I've owned Baldur's Gate 3 for a long time. Maybe a year now, 2 years, something like that. I don't remember when it came out. 23? 24? But I've owned it since like it went on sale. I think I got it on sale. I got it for like $45 on sale or something like that. And or maybe $30. Um, and I played it a good amount, but I didn't really finish. I didn't finish the game. I just got to act like the end of Act 1, going into Act 2, and I dropped it. And I wasn't really having fun with the combat system. And so this time I picked the game up, and I was like, you know what? I need a little push to play it because I do love D&D, but I don't really love the mechanics of rolling the dice and stuff. I kind of just wanted to interact with the characters and the world and all that stuff. So I downloaded some mods. I modded the game up. I got some. I didn't really get any like visual mods or cosmetic mods, but I did get mods for just like um, to kind of like speed up the process and skip um, the kind of rolls and stuff. So like I got like was like the god mode and the all that other stuff. So I can kind of like speed through the fighting because it's not really what I wanted in the game. And everyone's different. I think a lot of people enjoyed the fighting. A lot of people enjoyed the kind of the D&D style, and I think it would be fun if I was playing with other people. But playing it solo, I didn't really enjoy the combat, and so I modded it up, made myself kind of like an overpowered main character, and kind of sped through the game. I am in Act 3, and I'm taking a bit of a break from it because I played a ton of it in December. I'm taking kind of a breather from it and just, a step back. Another thing that I got was during the Steam sale, I got Red Dead Redemption 2, which I played in middle school. It's crazy to think it was that long ago because didn't feel that long ago. This is the last time I played it. And I picked it up. I had it on Xbox or something in middle school, and so I picked it up on PC. It was really cheap. It was the Ultimate Edition for $20. So super good deal. I mean, it's an old game, but it's an amazing game. Such a good story. So much good atmosphere. Such a good design. It's just it's a open world masterpiece. And so I started playing through Red Dead Redemption 2. Taking a bit of, I'm taking my time with that. It's not something I really want to commit to, like I kind of did in the past year of like sticking with one game until I'm done with it, like specifically story wise, and then having a bunch of kind of like enjoyable like kind of session games to play. But yeah, so I'm kind of jumping around from story to story, which I normally is a really bad thing for me because I don't get stuff done, and normally is just kind of like I get burnt out or bored, which I don't really feel like. I feel like I'm kind of just taking my time and kind of enjoying when I want to enjoy, and instead of kind of forcing myself to finish a game that I don't really want to finish or don't really care too much about finishing or getting all the achievements for. So with stuff like that, I mean, I'm happy to just like pick it up whenever I have a few hours to kill and really just want to relax and immerse myself, kind of like watching a movie. Um, and then I also picked up during the sale, picked up Bollocks Pit, which is a roguelike, or sorry, no, roguelite, so you can kind of upgrade yourself before the kind of repetitive battles, and missions or whatever you want to call them. And it is such a great game. It has like kind of character building with like the Vampire Survivors like evolve and upgrade and kind of stuff. It reminds me of that one browser game that like has all the elements. You have to create new elements with all the elements that you have, and it starts you off with like some basic like neurons or something like that, and then you can like make like sword. You can make swords and stuff out of those neurons because you make trees and then air. Well, however it works, I don't exactly remember. Um, and it's really fun. Just today before I worked on this video, I 100%ed it, and that ties into D&D as well a little bit because I've been watching the Viva La Dirt League, their D&D campaigns, because they're just a really fun group of people, really funny. Their accents are cool. I think they're from New Zealand. I think they call themselves not New Zealanders, but they call themselves Kiwis, I believe. Um, and they're super enjoyable to listen to and just like see them. Like their campaigns are so cool, and I'm really enjoying their campaigns. I'm like 60 episodes in to their campaign to one of their campaigns, and I played those YouTube videos pretty much all the way through playing Bollocks Pit, and yeah, Bollocks Pit was a great game. It's definitely my favorite. I think definitely my favorite roguelite ever. Before that would be I guess Vampire Survivors, and Vampire Survivors is great, but the Bollocks Pit tops it visually, tops it gameplay wise, tops it like prep wise, and all that stuff. Just such a cool game, set up so well, really amazing. Absolutely loved it. Um, and so I'm happy to have that 100%. It wasn't a too hard 100%. Um, and then a lot of like I said in the start of this, a lot of life stuff has happened. I'm back. Second semester has started. Which I'm kind of getting the ball rolling there with studying and all that, as well as I got a job, part-time job at the start of January, and so I've been working hard at that as well. Luckily, part-time, so I'm not putting in tons of hours to that, but I've definitely lost a little bit of free time, which I was not used to coming from my previous semester. I'm used to having a lot of free time, but I don't think it's too bad. I think that I can really work with it and focus more on the quality free time instead of the quantity of free time. There were some things that I did, I think, last semester, last half year that I kind of just, maybe wasted time on because I had so much time to play with. And now that I'm, minimizing on that free time, I can kind of maximize on the quality of that and enjoyment of that. But, in these next couple months, we'll see how that goes. And see what I can do, what I can accomplish, and kind of monitor it through these videos. Um, so yeah, life stuff is life keeps lifing. Not sure if that's a quote from anyone, but yeah, life keeps lifing. But moving on, I want to talk about like movies and TV. Because I watched a good amount of movies and TV throughout December and January. Some like Christmas stuff. I rewatched. Of course, rewatched Charlie Brown. I rewatched Love Actually. Love that. I rewatched. I said Charlie Brown, Love Actually. Oh, and then like the Veggie Tales ones. Those are ones that are I'm kind of nostalgic for. And then I kind of just like, picked random movies that like I wouldn't have really watched on my own kind of free will, but just like some random ones that I kind of remember being younger that I don't really know if I ever watched, but I remember, maybe someone having them on, like someone showing me clips or something like that. And that one of those movies specifically was Pitch Perfect, Pitch Perfect 1, and I watched Pitch Perfect 2 as well. I think I'm gonna stop there because it's kind of an overplayed concept, but it was really funny. There's a ton of comedians in there that I was not expecting, like Adam Devine. He's great. I love that dude. He's super funny, and he did a great job in the Pitch Perfects. And the Pitch Perfect 1 and 2 are really enjoyable just to kind of watch, like the kind of early 2000s, or not really early, but like kind of mid-ish 2000s, like just like outfits and design, and it's very Disney Channel like if they made it rated it, like, or I guess rated R, but I think it's rated R, rated PG-13, something like that. But it's very Disney Channel movie like, and of course there's singing and dancing and stuff in it, which is probably the biggest connector. But Rebel, whatever, Rebel Wilson, I think her name is, that she's Australian. She's really funny, and yeah, those two movies were really good, and I definitely will rewatch them in the future. I think I give them like an 8 or a 9 because I loved them. One was definitely better than two, but they were still both really good. And there are more if I want to watch more, but ratings wise, I know you're not supposed to focus on the ratings, but ratings wise, they didn't seem to do too well. So maybe I'll watch them if I really want to. And I've watched a lot of comedies as well. Like recently, I watched Superbad, which I've been recommended a ton by other people. Because it's kind of it's a good movie, but it is kind of like a cult classic. A ton of people look back on it fondly, and there's a ton of clips, on YouTube and stuff that always pop up for it. So I've definitely seen clips, and McLovin, of course, and that ID. I've seen so many people with that McLovin ID shirt. I think they sell it at like a Target or Walmart or something, because that's why. I see so many people with that shirt on. And then I also watched Stripes, which is about this kind of like loser guy who joins the army with his friend and then just makes a ton of friends, and they just goof around in the army, which is really funny. I don't think it would actually fly in the actual army, but it was definitely a funny concept, and a good movie, a good 80s, I think it's 80s movie, which I haven't watched a lot of movies from the 80s. um I've watched a few, but not a ton. And it was kind of a good it was kind of a like, refreshing movie to watch because it was really funny. And it's kind of a different style of comedy than what I'm used to. Is like kind of the early 2000s comedy, as well as watching. Recently, I watched the Borat. I guess there's in 2020, I think the Borat sequel, and that was insanely fun. It was funny, but it was also insanely. He plays with kind of real people. Instead of just actors. And the girl that played her part as well, she was crazy as well. His daughter, I think it's supposed to be in the show. She was a crazy good actress. She went wild on that show, or on that movie, sorry. And it was insane the amount of acting that they did and the amount of like crazy stunts that they pulled in that movie. Wow. Wow, it was cringeworthy, it was funny, it was enjoyable from the first second all the way to the last second, like really a thrill. And then I want to, I did watch, a lot of these movies. And but recently I wanted to watch the Star Wars prequels. I've watched the sequels, the normal trilogy, the originals, I guess some people might call them. And I enjoyed them. I was never considered myself a big Star Wars fan. I liked Star Wars, but I was never a huge Star Wars fan. So I'd never watched the prequels. No one has ever really shown me them. I've heard about them from friends, but I've heard mixed. Like some people like them, some people don't. And so I decided to give them a watch, and I watched all three prequels in 3 days. I watched them, kind of a movie a day pacing, and wow, they were good. They were really good. Um, I loved Anakin's character. I think they cast an amazing actor for Anakin. And Padme, I think they cast a good actor for. And who's the Qui Gui? That guy. That guy was really good. Liam Neeson, I think, is who they cast for it. That actor, he was great. And then Obi-Wan, great. So many, it's so many good actors they got for Star Wars. And the trilogy and the prequels were a really good trilogy. Of all different trilogies I've watched or movies I've watched. I'm not a big sci-fi guy at all, or a huge Star Wars guy, and I still wouldn't consider myself one after watching these. But I'm glad I watched them. I think I might like the prequels more than the original trilogy. The original trilogy is great, but the prequels, just the characters I care about so much. And Anakin was just such a sad, he had so much potential. You could see that, and it was just so sad to see that ending. Um, wow, wow! But it prepped you for the original trilogy, which I mean the original trilogy is great, and it was just such a good prep for it. Wow, it was great, and I loved the sets. I loved the set design, and so many places were just so cool and well thought out, and the characters and the different like kind of species and different planets, so cool. Different vehicles as well, so awesome. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up the movies I've watched in the past, month and a half, month and almost 2 months. Um, and so yeah, I want to talk about TV as well. As I think I brought up, I was watching How I Met Your Mother, and that was a really great TV. And that is a really great TV show, and I finished it. And one of my friends kind of didn't spoil, but said like, "Hey, like people really don't like the ending for it." And I was like almost to the end, and I was like, "Oh, really?" I still see what that's about. And so I finished the show, and they wrap it up in this kind of weird 3 episode, like like it ends, and there's like 3 episode of like 5 years, kind of how I remember it. Like 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 something. No, I think it's bigger time frames than that. But like, it just it is an odd ending. I feel like they wanted to maybe do another season on it, and they didn't have the budget, or they just And I mean, so many people I think were expecting Robin and Barney to have such like happy ever after, and as well as they wanted more screen time from this How I Met Your Mother, the woman that they're building up for so long, like the perfect girl for Ted. And then spoilers, but they just kill her in the final season. They are not. She passes away from cancer or a sickness or whatever, and it's sad. But there's not enough build up to it. Like he kind of he even like kind of spoils it throughout like the flashbacks and all that stuff, especially that one episode, the time travelers one or whatever, that he's just like, if I could just run to your apartment and just spend just that extra few minutes with you, before actually meeting you, I would. And it was good. It's a really good show. I think you got to focus on the cast as well, and the characters and how enjoyable they are, instead of just the ending. Because the ending is just kind of what people always focus on whenever the experience and the journey was such a good journey, that the ending is just, I think it hurt a lot of people, and I think a lot of people don't like it because of the ending. But it was still a really good show. And my thoughts on the ending, kind of mixed. I thought it was good. I thought it could have been better. I thought it was a little odd with like those ending like aged, the age ones where they're like, oh, they're older now, and this happens, and that happens, and this happens. A lot of the times I'm for that in shows, but I feel like they didn't really need it with this one. They could have just ended it, and instead of having that, the flash forward or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, and then also I finished Kim Possible, a cartoon series that I've been working on for a long time, definitely over a year. I think I started it in 2024 in November or October probably. No, September even. Yeah, September. Yeah, so like the start of my senior year, I think. I started that, and yeah, and I finished it, and it was good, and it was an enjoyable show. I had my fun with it. It was good characters and good art, good animation. It's just funny, enjoyable. I felt like the episodes were a little bit too long, and they had such a repetitive feel to them. But other than that, I really enjoyed it, and I had fun. And that about wraps up my January 2026, and I guess December-ish 2025 episode. Hope a lot more has come in the future this year, and yeah, wish you best. Speak with you soon.